Just a few weeks ago, probably as one of his last public acts before getting sick, Pope Francis welcomed the Coptic patriarch to Rome and announced that 21 martyrs that they had declared saints also be recognized as saints in the Latin Catholic Church, which was significant because I think for a lot of us, when we think of martyrdom, when we think of the martyrs, we think back to the first centuries of Christianity. We think to the catacombs and the Colosseum and the persecution of the Roman emperors. But it's easy for us to forget that the century that created the most Christian martyrs was the 20th. That martyrdom is not a thing of the past, that it's very much a thing of the present. And those 21 martyrs that were recognized as saints in the Catholic Church now were recognized as such on the 10th anniversary of their martyrdom. That it was not martyrs from the early church, they were martyrs killed by ISIS. And in kind of a remarkable way, martyrs created on videotape. That I remember actually seeing the footage, that there were 20 Libyans who had been caught by ISIS terrorists and had been asked to renounce their faith, to turn their back on Jesus Christ or suffer the consequences. And to a man, every single one of them was willing to die rather than forsake Jesus Christ. The 21st man was not Christian. The 21st man was an African man from Ghana who just simply worked with the other men. But when it came time for him to be on camera, he told the terrorists, whatever God they worship, I worship him too, so you might as well put me to death. That he was so inspired by the witness of their faith, he was so impressed by the conviction that drove them to die rather than forsake Christ, that he was willing to die for a faith that he had never professed, to die for our Lord Jesus, though he had not even been baptized for him yet. It was a powerful witness to me to see that example and to be reminded that in many parts of the world, people still do have to sacrifice for their faith in Jesus Christ, that it costs us something to publicly witness to our Christian faith in much of our planet. On this Ash Wednesday, though admittedly at 7:15 at night, there's not a lot of witnessing left to do today, but we're given a little bit more public of an opportunity to witness our faith than most days in the calendar year. That it's one of the things that I've always kind of appreciated, and appreciated especially growing up as a kid, getting out of school and going to the grocery store and seeing other people there with ashes on their forehead, watching the news, the local news that night, and seeing one of the news anchors with ashes on their forehead. That it's a reminder to us that we're not alone in this, that our community is not only present, but our community is willing to live for Christ, that we're willing to be recognized as followers of his. But hopefully it's not just the ashes that we wear that tell people that as we enter into this season of Lent is meant to be a sort of little martyrdom for us. That hopefully by this point, some of you have figured out what you're hoping to do for the Lenten season. If not, you should probably figure that out sometime soon, as we've started. But those little acts of penance that we take up, or those little extra things that we choose to do in the season of Lent to mark it out as a special time, that those are little ways that we say no to ourselves, that we die to self so that we can say yes to something bigger than us. That those forms of discipline aren't because we hate ourselves, they're not because the body's evil and we or even that earthly goods are evil, but that they are for the sake of something even better than earthly goods, that they're for the sake of spiritual ones. And during this season of Lent, not only do we take up those penances, but hopefully we're also acting in greater love toward one another. That one of the things that's supposed to mark out the season of Lent, in addition to penance and fasting, is prayer and is almsgiving. That our relationship with God is meant to grow, and our love for others is meant to grow too. And if we're doing that right, hopefully other people notice that. Not because we're doing it for show, but because we can't but reveal the fact that we love people better now than we did before. That our hearts do look more like Jesus Christ's. That we're meant to live our faith in such a way that's evident to the people in our lives. That we're meant to be witnesses just as the martyrs were, even though our witness might be a little different from theirs. The end goal is the same, that we help other people to know that Jesus Christ is here and that he loves them and that there is great good news that he has to offer them. That 21st man became a martyr that day because of the witness value of 20 others. And I think sometimes we can be tempted to wonder whether or not our witness makes the tiniest bit of difference, whether or not the way we live our faith matters. A few seconds of faithful witness, albeit very important seconds, but just a few seconds of faithful witness from those 20 men were enough to win over that 21st man for Christ. In our own lives, may we never underestimate the value that our living of the faith has to be able to help other people to know Jesus Christ too.